A 6-year-old boy in a bright shirt steps into the tree line. His family watches him go. 5 minutes later, he's gone. 1,400 searchers, Green Berets, helicopters, FBI agents, but they found nothing. Not a shoe, not a thread, not a bone. And that little boy is just one of them. Because the Appalachian Mountains don't just swallow people, they erase them.
Before we dive deep into the cases, follow Puzzle X for creepy stories and world horrors you won't find anywhere. Let's dig in. Case 1. Dennis Martin. June 14, 1969. Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. Dennis Martin was 5 days from his 7th birthday when his family took him on a Father's Day camping trip to Spence Field, which is a remote meadow nearly 5,000 feet up on the Tennessee-North Carolina line. That afternoon, Dennis and some other boys cooked up a prank on the adults. They split up. Dennis, wearing a bright red shirt, was sent around the far side of the field alone, so the shirt wouldn't give the others away. His father watched him disappear into the mountain laurel. That was the last confirmed sighting. When Dennis didn't come back, his father called out. Nothing. He called louder. Still nothing. Dennis was by all accounts an obedient kid who always came when called. Within the hour, a massive thunderstorm dumped 2.5 inches of rain in 3 hours and wiped out any tracks or scent trail. His grandfather hiked 9 miles down the mountain in the dark to report it. What followed was the largest search in National Park Service history. 1,400 searchers on a single day, Green Berets, FBI, helicopters, 56 square miles over 16 days. They found nothing. No clothing, no remains, no confirmed trace. Here is the strangest detail. 3 days in, searchers found child-sized footprints near Eagle Creek, miles from where Dennis disappeared. One foot was bare, the other showed the pattern of a boy's Oxford shoe, size 2.5, the exact shoe Dennis wore. The prints led to a stream and stopped. Officials dismissed them as belonging to a Boy Scout helping with the search, but retired Ranger Dwight McCarter studied these prints for decades and noted they moved away from the search area, not toward it. And none of the children helping that day had been barefoot. Then there's Harold Key. 7 miles from Spence Field around 6:30 p.m. that evening, Harold heard a scream he later described as enormous and fundamentally wrong. Not an animal, not a person in ordinary distress. Then a disheveled man emerged from the tree line moving fast, with something red slung over his shoulder. When he noticed Harold's family watching, he changed course and vanished back into the forest. The FBI concluded the distance and timing didn't add up. Dennis's father went to his grave believing his son was taken. The case remains open and inactive. No answer has ever come. Case 2. Trenny Gibson. October 8, 1976. Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. Trenny Gibson was 16, a straight-A student who dreamed of studying landscape architecture. Her horticulture teacher, Mr. Dunlap, loaded 38 students onto a bus for a surprise field trip. Destination kept secret until they arrived at Clingman's Dome. The goal was a 2-mile hike to Andrews Bald. The weather was miserable, low 40s, drizzling, with steep drop-offs on both sides of a narrow, wet trail. Trenny had forgotten her coat. A classmate named Robert Simpson lent her his jacket. They walked together the entire way up. At 1:30 p.m., after reaching the summit, the group turned back toward the bus. Then, without explanation, Robert told Trenny he was going to go look for bears, and walked away, leaving her alone. 3/4 of a mile from the bus, witnesses saw Trenny bend down to examine something on the right side of the trail. When they looked up, she was gone. She had been surrounded by classmates on a narrow trail with steep drop-offs on both sides. She should not have been able to step off that trail unnoticed. By 5 a.m. the next morning, 200 searchers, 6 bloodhound teams, and military helicopters were deployed. The dogs tracked her scent past the Klingman's Dome Tower and down the Appalachian Trail. Then it went cold near Highway 441. The FBI took over, investigated every camping permit in the area, interviewed people across multiple states. 2 sets of teenage girls' remains had been found buried in those mountains during the 1970s. No connection to Trenny was established. There was also the matter of Kelvin Bowman, a classmate who had stalked Trenny so obsessively 2 years earlier that he broke into her home and was shot in the foot by her mother. He was convicted, served juvenile detention, and then the school system placed him right back in the same school as Trenny, where he reportedly made threats to kill her. His alibi on the day of the trip rested on school attendance records, never independently verified. Why did Robert leave her alone on the trail moments before she vanished? Nobody has ever answered that. No body, no crime scene, no charges. 48 years later, it's still open. Case 3. Thelma. Polly Melton. September the 25th, 1981. Deep Creek Trail, Great Smoky Mountains. Polly Melton was 58 and had been hiking the Deep Creek Trail for nearly 20 years. This was not unfamiliar wilderness. This was her backyard. An easy, well-traveled path close to a campground parking lot, busy with other hikers. The day before she disappeared, Polly made mysterious phone calls from a volunteer center where she'd worked for 4 years, the first time she'd ever used those phones. She also skipped her volunteer shift the next morning for the first time ever. Her pastor noted she had been struggling with depression after her mother's death. On the trail that afternoon, Polly suddenly picked up speed without explanation. A friend called out that she wasn't going to race her. Polly turned, laughed, and kept going. She went over a rise in the trail. Her friends expected to see her on the other side. She wasn't there. She wasn't at the campground. She wasn't anywhere. Bloodhounds were brought in. When they reached the spot where Polly was last seen, they picked up her scent, then circled the area and howled. They did not follow a trail into the woods. They did not track a route toward the road. The scent simply ended in the middle of a public path on a clear afternoon. 150 volunteers and 9 search dogs spent 5 days covering the area. Nothing was found. No clothing, no footprints leading away, no signs of a struggle. A check made out to Polly was later cashed in Birmingham, Alabama. Investigators never identified who cashed it. She was barred from driving that summer and had no car keys, so she had no independent means to leave. Everything she owned remained behind. She was declared legally dead in 1988. The National Park Service still lists her as missing. A 6-year-old, a teenager, a middle-aged hiker, the only things they share? They were in the Appalachians. They vanished under conditions that should have produced answers. And in each case, somewhere in that gap between the last known moment and what came next, the answer is still sitting out there in the oldest mountains in North America. Waiting. Which out of them was most shocking to you? Let us know in the comments, and what shall we cover next? Till then, don't follow to subscribe. Puzzle X.